The shocking message from Alcaraz's new coach that has surprised everyone has been leaked. Samuel Lopez, the coach who replaces Juan Carlos Ferrero, has spoken out for the first time on social media after unexpected news in the world of tennis. It is one of the stories of the year in tennis. Carlos Alcaraz and Juan Carlos Ferrero will no longer work together. His new coach is Samuel Lopez. He has already published his first message on social media. First week of preseason completed. After passing the medical checkup, we got started with good feelings, lots of work, and commitment. We continue training with enthusiasm, ambition, and unity, focused on growing day by day and continuing to make history in this sport. Alcaraz and Lopez are already working together to prepare for the first objective of the season, the Australian Open. That is the only Grand Slam the player from Murcia has not yet won. And he wants to do it alongside Samuel Lopez. His first message is no coincidence. He speaks of enthusiasm, ambition, and unity, key factors in becoming champions again. During a conversation with El Larguero, cited by Cadena Ser, Tony Nadal highlighted the logic of power and independence that distinguishes the relationship between coaches and professional players as the athlete matures. He suggested that even in separations as high profile as that of Carlos Alcaraz and Juan Carlos Ferrero, decisive issues are usually contractual or personal, regardless of sporting results. Based on his experience and observation of the tour, Nadal insisted that the player is the one who ultimately makes the final decisions about his team, stressing that the split surprised him and that he does not know the details that led to it. According to Cadena Ser, Tony Nadal stated that Ferrero's leadership of Alcaraz's team produced outstanding results and that, in similar situations, any major decision comes from the player. This former coach and benchmark of Spanish tennis pointed out that during a tennis player's adolescence and early youth, the coach usually holds a dominant position. However, as the athlete reaches higher levels of autonomy, this imbalance changes until ultimate control rests with the player. The kid grows up and stops being a kid, Nadal said, according to the outlet. In his analysis, the former coach of Rafael Nadal addressed the usual structure of authority in tennis coaching teams. He noted that in professional practice, the coach initially has the power to impose criteria, but over time that authority fades. The first time you tell him he's not aligned, the second time you directly say that it's unnecessary, Nadal explained, as reported by Cadena Ser. He considered that, as in Alcaraz's team, there is no evidence pointing to sporting disagreements to justify the recent split, and emphasized that Ferrero successfully boosted his players' development in different areas of the game. For Tony Nadal, Ferrero's positive influence was evident in Alcaraz's systematic improvement, placing Juan Carlos's demands as one of the key factors in the Mercian's tennis growth. According to Cadena Ser, Nadal valued how the demands imposed by Ferrero strengthened various strategic areas of the young player's professional development. However, he reiterated that even under strict guidance, the one who's in charge is the player, it can't be otherwise, reflecting that gradual transition in which the athlete assumes full responsibility for crucial decisions. Nadal also described how he managed this transition in the case of his nephew and protégé, Rafael Nadal. In the interview, he mentioned that he applied strict discipline during Rafael's adolescence but decided to relinquish control when he turned 18. Quoted by Cadena Ser, he said, "From the age of 18, I told him to do whatever he wanted," clarifying that he limited his involvement to work and attitude on court, while considering off-court choices to be the player's responsibility. If he wanted to go out or not, that was his problem. On court, I helped Rafael; off court, it was his decision. Sharing unique details about his professional relationship with Rafael Nadal, Tony Nadal explained to Cadena Ser that he never charged fees for his work as a coach because he had other family businesses. In his words, "I never charged Rafa, but I was doing well because I had businesses with my brothers. I was with him for so long because it was very cheap for him. It was a good price for them. Rafa used to tell me, for what my uncle charges, let's see who I'm going to find." This arrangement, besides being unique, facilitated a long collaboration in which trust and mutual understanding played an essential role. During the conversation cited by Cadena Ser, Tony Nadal also addressed the natural tensions that arise in the coach-athlete dynamic. He argued that working with elite athletes involves constantly negotiating the area of influence and intervention. Either you're in the hands of the player and don't say what you think, or you set a line of demands. According to the coach, this tension between autonomy and direction shapes the usual landscape of high-performance teams. Regarding the end of the professional relationship between Alcaraz and Ferrero, Nadal emphasized his surprise, admitting that he does not know the specific reasons for the split. After years observing the elite of the sport, he maintained that this type of breakup usually responds to contractual agreements or personal concerns rather than disagreements related to on-court performance. In his testimony published by Cadena Ser, he reiterated that the loss of absolute control by the coach occurs as the young athlete develops judgment and independence, which eventually leads to changes within the support team. The process experienced by the team of Carlos Alcaraz and Juan Carlos Ferrero exemplifies, according to the Spanish coach, that transition in which the athlete seeks and assumes greater decision-making power over his career and professional environment. Through his statements collected by Cadena Ser, Tony Nadal thus provided insight into the challenges faced by coaches and tennis players in managing careers marked by excellence, constant pressure, and the need to balance demands with freedom of choice. Cobolli's confessions after training with Alcaraz. The Italian is a regular presence in Carlitos' preseasons. They have been friends for years, share many tournaments, and often train together at this time of year, previously in Vienna and now in Murcia. The reasons for the Italian's trips, beyond personal ones, also lie in the many benefits he gains for his game. As he confirmed in an interview with the Italian press, 2 hours of training with him feel like 20 minutes. When you train with any other player, it feels like 2 hours. And obviously, he gives me many important pieces of advice, and even if he didn't, I learn. In addition, the videos that have been released show very good chemistry between them, having fun and enjoying themselves on and off the court. That said, for now they are rivals, although the 21 places that separate them in the rankings mean they are not direct competitors. It remains to be seen whether, as expected, Cobolli continues to improve and becomes a fierce rival of Carlitos while remaining so close. The best year of his life. And he wants more. Cobolli has grown enormously in 2025, moving from fighting to be among the top 50 to brushing the top 20. Beyond the numbers, he has established himself as one of the most reliable players in the world. The high level he showed this season confirms that his development is on the right track, and while it is not as explosive as Alcaraz's, it is progressing at its own pace. He is already close to breaking into the top 20 and, based on his level, he will only go higher. Beyond strong results in major tournaments such as Wimbledon, he made his final leap in the Davis Cup, when he led Italy to victory, making people forget the absences of Jannik Sinner and Lorenzo Musetti. Alcaraz's first coach points to Carlos's father as responsible for the abrupt split with Ferrero. Carlos Santos experienced something very similar to what is currently happening. The father is in the spotlight as the main person responsible for the breakup. The tennis world was completely shocked last Wednesday, December 17, when it became known that Carlos Alcaraz was parting ways with his coach at the time, Juan Carlos Ferrero. It was a totally unexpected piece of news that left repercussions. Many experts in the world of tennis believe it was a bad decision by Carlos. Ferrero himself made it clear that he would have liked to continue. Once the bombshell of this unexpected tennis divorce came to light, speculation began. There was talk of personal wear and tear in the partnership, and also of economic disagreements when it came to signing Juan Carlos's new contract for 2026. Now, a new reason appears on the horizon: the figure of Alcaraz's father. The first coach of the Murcian tennis player, Carlos Santos, the man who shaped him in his early tennis years, from the age of 5 to 12, spoke candidly to Eurosport microphones. And, as if it were déjà vu, he sees many similarities between what happened to him back then and what Juan Carlos Ferrero is experiencing now. I was with Carlitos for 8 years, Juan Carlos has been with him for 7. The same thing happened to me. I wanted a set of conditions, the father didn't see it that way. And Juan Carlos will have asked for other conditions that the father also didn't want and didn't give in on. The Murcian coach believes that the arrival of Samuel Lopez as second coach, who accompanied Alcaraz to many tournaments while Ferrero stayed at home, already foreshadowed the current outcome. Once Samuel Lopez came in as second coach, you could see that a change might be coming. In the end, with Carlitos, things have always been done this way, very gradually, so that nothing drastic happens from one day to the next. Santos does not hesitate to point to Alcaraz's father as the key figure in the split. In the end, the one who handles everything there is Carlos's father. Carlitos has nothing to do with it. I mean, Carlitos would have continued for as long as Juan Carlos wanted. Regarding Carlos's new coach, Santos believes that Samuel Lopez's role will be temporary and that it will not be easy to find an ideal coach given the Alcaraz family's requirement to train in Murcia. I think Samuel was there as second coach because he's very close to Juan Carlos, they grew up in the same place and have worked in more or less the same way, and that there will be another coach. I couldn't tell you who, but it has to be someone willing to be in Murcia, to live here, and to make everything very comfortable and easy for Carlitos. Right now, the coaches who are closest are already busy. For example, David Ferrer, who is occupied with other things and is more or less nearby. So I'm certain that Samuel won't be the head coach for the whole season. For sure. Something is already going on behind the scenes. We won't know it yet, but surely, before letting Juan Carlos go, someone else had already been spoken to. What Santos is absolutely certain about is that the split with Ferrero will not affect the performance of the current world number one. Carlitos functions on his own. He has no problem training with one coach or another. He has a very brilliant tennis game and doesn't depend on anyone. He plays on his own. Alcaraz makes a definitive decision after his split with Ferrero. Alcaraz and Ferrero have put an end to more than 7 years of professional relationship. A historic partnership in recent years that managed, from the ground up, to reach the summit of world number one. On the court, it was achieved by the Mercian player, but without the work of everyone who accompanied him to every corner of the planet, it would not have been possible. Above all, the work of Juan Carlos Ferrero. In recent hours, all kinds of information have emerged revealing the reality behind the split. The situation worsened during the legal negotiations between the two, although the reasons dated back earlier. One of them was Charlie's intention to train and spend more time in Murcia, leaving aside his preparation at Ferrero's academy in Vienna. The world number one already has his own academy and, above all, his entourage has pushed for his usual training base to be there. There has also been talk of financial issues, although they were not what triggered the decision. Coaches usually earn a specific percentage of prize money, which from his entourage was considered quite high. Perhaps it came more from the entourage than from the player himself. Carlitos is very protective of his coaches. He was with me and I know he has been with Juan Carlos, but maybe there comes a point when, for reasons unrelated to him and to sport, he has wanted to make this decision, and what better moment than now, as world number one, added Kiko Navarro, Alcaraz's former coach. This is a view shared by former tennis players who have given their opinion. One of them is Feliciano Lopez, current co-director of the Mutua Madrid Open. In Alcaraz's case, I think he is still not the one making those decisions. I have doubts as to whether Carlos was really the one who decided that he didn't want to continue with Juan Carlos, he said. It is worth remembering that Juan Carlos Ferrero wrote in the statement that he would have liked to continue. Faced with this unexpected decision, the idea of the Spanish player and his entourage was to bring in a head coach to fill Ferrero's position. Even so, according to journalist Angel Garcia Muñiz, it has finally been confirmed that Samu Lopez will lead the world number one's technical team during the 2026 season. More than 5 coaches offered themselves to Carlos, but he ultimately chose Samu. The importance of Samu Lopez, Charlie's new head coach, had already accompanied the Spaniard on a large number of trips during 2025. He is a very important piece of the team, as in addition to technical knowledge he also brings laughter and good vibes. Alcaraz himself acknowledged this at the ATP finals. Samu is something we have between us. He makes me laugh, and that's when I bring out my tennis. Despite all the noise around him, Carlos must focus on the preseason, which he began about a week ago. The Spaniard is in Murcia, where this Thursday he will perform the ceremonial kickoff at the Copa del Rey match between Real Murcia and Real Betis, under the guidance of his head coach and alongside Italian tennis player Flavio Cobolli. In just over 3 weeks, the Australian Open.